Hello, wonderful beings, soul friends and family around the world. Today I'm making a video for you, and for me, really, and for all life, to express the fruit of my healing journey recently. Or maybe not quite fruit yet, but it's definitely blossoming, and I wanted to share it with you in hopes that it helps you heal and inspires you on your journey to live your best life. So a couple of years ago, I made a YouTube video that was called My Journey of Sexual Healing, where I expressed a little bit of the deeper things that had happened to me in my childhood and my journey of healing them, and also my desire to do burlesque, which is interesting because for years, like I've been healing this for years, and burlesque has been this thread that was just woven in at the right times in little ways that would just spark me and inspire me enough to keep me going on my journey. And I'm now making a video for you when I'm right at the precipice, right? I don't know if that's the right word, but it feels like it is, where I'm about to perform burlesque for my community publicly. And it's amazing what comes up when we are moving in the direction of our dreams, especially when the desire is also filled with so much fear, and rightfully so. But yeah, today I just wanted to share a little bit of my journey and I guess unravel it for myself and maybe inspire things to unravel for you as well. So this burlesque opportunity happened really organically and synchronistically. I came back to Peterborough, Ontario, Canada after a long time of traveling. And, traveling or gypsying, I don't know. But I realized that I needed to get some roots happening and just get a home base and really like sink in. And Peterborough is a beautiful place that just opened up and provided beautiful homes for me, including this one. But yeah, so in the fall, I aligned with burlesque lessons, and it's interesting because for years, I've wanted to. I've gone to shows, I've like reached out to people, I've asked about different lessons, and things just didn't line up. Like, I can't really explain how, but just every single time it was almost hilarious how the universe was just like, no, no, not yet. No, no, you're not ready. No, not yet. No, 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 no. And this time it said yes. And so I went to a few lessons and got really inspired. And it's amazing because for me with burlesque, it's like, I mean, I feel a little bit weird about spending money on other things. Like, sometimes I'll feel a bit like, oh, that was a bit high for the ticket price for that. But for some reason with burlesque, I'm just like, I'm literally just feel like I'm giving to the goddess, and I'm just like, oh, anything. Like, and it feels so good to give because I don't know. But anyway, so I took some burlesque classes, and around that time, I ran into an old friend who I had met at a clown workshop years before, and she kind of, we were just talking. She's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking of putting together this clown performance for this public community performance thing, and I want to clown sexuality as well. I was thinking of having a burlesque performer in it, and I was just like, ooh, ooh. Like, I just took burlesque lessons, and I really love burlesque, and I love clown, and I love the juxtaposition of the two. So we kind of talked a bit more, and things lined up, and so we decided to co-create, and we've been rehearsing and kind of getting this piece ready to perform for the public. And yeah, it's really exciting and also totally terrifying. For me, doing burlesque is about more than just getting on stage and, flaunting my body and my, beauty and flaws and authenticity. It's a victory to step up and say, my sexuality, my beauty is mine. And this is my power. This is not something that I do for someone else who has some sort of fear-based power control over me. This is instead me saying, I am free. I am a goddess. I'm going to express myself exactly how I want to. And so that's what I love about it. I love that it's this free expression of the goddess and a celebration of women's bodies and beauties and souls. And I recently yesterday actually we had a rehearsal. We're a couple of weeks away from the performance, and I had a breakdown yesterday because at first I thought I was going to do this like flowery, goddessy, feminine thing, and I realized I was like, that's not fully me. That's not my full authenticity. And, you know, I've been realizing recently, and maybe it's part of my healing, which undoubtedly it is that I'm realizing that I have masculine facets to my being. I have many facets. I'm more than just, you know, beautiful or whatever that feminine part wants to express. I also have all this rich, unique, dark, deep, powerful wisdom that wants to come through as well. And I had a moment yesterday where I was like, man, I gotta feel good in my body. I don't know who I am. Man. And I was like, I can't just fake being sexy when I don't feel like it. And so thankfully my friend was cool with like canceling that, and I went off and hung out with a wonderful friend who I just talked about everything with, which was so nice. But yeah, I may be rambling a little bit, but I just needed to get this out. So anyways, we have a practice on Friday, and we also have a performance at the end of March, and it's amazing because I feel like life is challenging me. Spirit is calling me to express through burlesque and sexuality the way that I express through music, where for me, music is about how do I express as authentically as possible what's flowing through, either what's in my soul or, you know, in my thoughts, or flowing, you know, channeling through the spirit. It's kind of like a moving poetry to me, where I'm communicating not only the mental interpretations, but also the emotional, energetic, you know, interpretations through the music. And it's like, I feel like the universe is like, yes, it's time for burlesque, but it's not going to be anything like anything you've seen before. You're not here to emulate anyone else. You're here to communicate as authentically as possible what is flowing through. And that's where it's so clown, because genuine clown is like a very vulnerable, very present expression of authenticity, where it's kind of like making it even more. So, you know, for example, in our culture, if one is nervous and they get blushy and shaky, we're kind of encouraged to like, oh, pretend you don't have it, or, you know, just fight through it, or ignore it, or, you know, minimize it so that no one notices, but people totally notice. Whereas clown is about, you know, a clown would, oh, like they would just, you know, get so red, or they'd, you know, kind of clown it out and accentuate, you know, the shaking or the everything. They would just accentuate it so much. And in a way, it creates a sort of humorous release, which is so beautiful and such medicine. And so here I am at the juxtaposition of burlesque and clown as a survivor of sexual abuse, and as me. It's just like this momentous moment where I'm just like, holy, what is this? What did I sign up for? How am I going to do this? I have no idea, but I just have to trust the process and honor the flow. And, you know, in the same way, it's kind of mirroring my my sexual realm. I've been single for a long time and had some beautiful experiences, but recently I went really deep into my sexual healing, where I went to a retreat that was for survivors that really helped me to release deep, 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 deep emotions that had been holding me. Because the truth is that my interpretation of trauma, what it does is basically we come into this world as these source beings. We come in just pure source, you know, and we come in with somewhat of a blueprint, somewhat of a plan, but we come in and we have full flow of our beings and our souls and presence. And that's why being in the presence of a baby or a child, you just feel the God presence. You feel God, Goddess, great love. You feel it. And it's just so inspiring, and it brings so much light and love to the family. And it's just so radiant and full of love. And what happens is when we experience trauma, streams of energy get blocked. So it's kind of like, so say I used to love fairies, but then someone said, oh, fairies aren't real. Fairies are stupid. Pfft, I block that part of me. Or say I loved experiencing bliss in my body, but then I realized, oh, this happened in a way that was wrong, and maybe my pleasure and bliss is wrong. Boom, block it. And so it's like walking around with all these blocks, and that's why we see many adults who are like zombies walking around. They're not even really their soul. They got so blocked off that they're just, you know, how's the weather, John? Like they're not even a soul. They're not even themselves, really. And it's sad. And I used to sort of feel really threatened by those vibrations. Like if I felt a sort of zombie-like energy, I was just be like, get away from me. Because very often it is those who feel so stuck and so trapped that actually would abuse others and try to manipulate to get some of that source energy, when it's a vicious cycle. And the truth is that the only way out is in, where we actually do the healing work. We actually look at like, oh wow, this is blocked in me. What happened here? And then as soon as we have the courage to look at it, you know, to feel the authentic emotions, which will lead us there anyways, if we don't numb them and block them with our addictions, the healing is natural. Healing is a natural process, just like the blooming of flowers, just like the rain, just like the seasons, just like age, birth, death, everything. Healing is a part of that. And there's an organic time for everything to happen. And likewise, you may find yourself in a moment where you're suddenly like, whoa, this is my time to face this thing that I haven't thought about for years and I'd never wanted to think about again, but it's coming up for a reason, so I'm going to look at it and do what I can to just love it and let it release. And that can happen through journaling, through talking to someone, through dancing, through music. Music is a great way to move energy and kind of bloom it open. Art, therapy, whatever it is that you feel guided to do. For some, it's psychedelics, and plant medicines like ayahuasca are really great at facilitating releases. But yes, allowing that stream of energy to flow again. And often it also requires a rewiring of the belief systems to realize like, wow, I feel all this unworthiness. Where did that come from? And then, you know, recognizing the experience and then how it was rooted into, you know, programmed into your reality, and then undoing them. So realizing, whoa, like that doesn't mean that I'm unworthy. No, that just means that, you know, that painful thing happened, and, you know, that was that person's limited perception of reality. And perhaps they didn't have the greatest intent in giving me that belief system, which was passed on to them and passed on to that person. But the truth is that us in this present moment as divine co-creators and souls awakening within this dream, you know, little God seeds, goddess seeds, waking up, sprouting, blooming, we have the power to open and shift our realities and heal it from within, from the inside out. And then it's like the whole reality resets and reorchestrates around us. So that was a big technical outflow of inspiration there. That's what healing is for me. Healing is like really reprogramming reality and just deeply honoring my soul and my emotions and my authenticity, and in effect clowning it. So instead of resisting it and being like, oh, I'm not nervous, I'm not scared, everything's fine, I'm cool. Instead just being like, oh shit, like I feel this. And instead of ignoring it or trying to hide it or avoid it, just be like, whoa, there's this, where'd this come from? Like, what do you have to teach me? Because the truth is, when we actually look our fears, those demons, those monsters in the eye, it's just love. It's just a form of love that may be lost and may be giving you a grand experience of contrast. But if you let it be this thing that, you know, you're scared of and you don't touch and you don't go there, it has power over you. But as soon as you say, hey, how are you? You look it in the eye and it just, you recognize that it's love and it has blessings to give you. But I won't lie, it's fucking not easy. The work of looking at trauma is looking at our deepest, darkest fears and pains. Not easy. It's, to me, it's like some of the most intense warrior work there is. Because, you know, it's not even fighting someone outside of us, it's going within and fighting all the things that are lurking within. And yeah, I'm humbled, and also I feel so blessed, so touched by grace to be able to do this sort of work, to have had a path that has supported this and allows me to support others in awakening their soul, blooming open, where, you know, you don't have to live stuck in fear. And I say this with humility because I definitely am not a full stream being yet. I'd love to be a full flow of source and, you know, just be totally free. I'd love to get there. Yes, please. And for now, I'm just doing the best I can. And burlesque is like a big, big step. And yeah, I feel like it's, for me, just one of those initiations to just move through all that fear and go. But something I will say about working on the deepest stuff that you have is like, and moving through your fears to make your dreams come true, is that the perfect support always finds you at the perfect time. And life doesn't give you anything you can't handle. So even if it seems rough, and even if I'll speak in my I, because I learned through therapy that actually speaking in I, so saying I feel, or when it's more empowering and allows for a greater owning and release of emotions versus, when you go to the store, because whatever, I'm talking about myself, so I'm going to talk about myself. My experience is that when I'm in one of those deep moments, when it's like, holy shit, like, I just want to kill myself, like, it's so intense, this pain, usually in the midst of that total darkness, where on the inside it's like, what, I don't even know what brings me joy anymore, it feels so dark. Usually there's one pinpoint of light, at least one, and I just fucking go for that. So if there's one thing that helps me feel better and authentically better, I go for it. And usually it's the weirdest things, but they end up being like spiritual openings. And this is my way through dark nights of the soul. But even when it comes to healing, it's like, if there's say it's like journaling, say it's like going to a cafe and just journaling for hours. If that makes you feel better, that's probably your healing key. And that's a big one for me. Music is obviously a big one. And then sometimes it just opens up the most interesting spiritual portals where like I remember years ago, I was in a really dark space where I was really overwhelmed with the pain and confusion within me, where I was just like, wow, why do I feel all of these intense things? And I wasn't hiding them, and I didn't want to hide them. I wanted to look at them and kind of be like, what is this? And it's interesting because during that time of darkness, I was also overwhelmed and I had all these pressures around me, and it was like not the perfect time to go fully into that. But the perfect time came. But in the meantime, I remember there was like one thing that helped me feel better, and it was like Doreen Virtue Angel Therapy Radio. And like every Wednesday I would like tune in. Maybe I'll watch it today. I would tune in and I would just, it was like, oh, like finally, like it was like angels. They helped me feel better. And even though before this my ego would have judged it and thought, oh, come on, angel therapy, like what is this? But when I actually tuned into that darkness and allowed my soul to be felt and to guide me, it guided me to angels, and it's such a deep, amazing healing connection with angels that I still have to this day. And likewise, when I went through a really dark time in the fall that just passed, for some reason it was polar bears. Like, this sounds so weird, but I was just like, it was like polar bears. I would look at pictures of polar bears, and I would watch movies of polar bears, and something about them just gave me energy and gave me medicine and healed my soul. And, the soul speaks often in symbols and in a language that the mind might not comprehend, but I do know that, like a spirit guide or a spirit animal, that the polar bear energy brought me a lot of comfort and peace, and it helped me to kind of tune into that divine parent, because when I think of a bear, I think of like mother bear, just that protective energy. And a white version of it to me is like this ascended, like, not to say that white is ascended, but it represented like a more angelic, heavenly expression of that. So it just really made me feel like, oh yes, I'm so loved by my divine parents, and I've always been totally protected, and everything, all is well. And yeah. So I'm grateful for everything on this journey. I'm grateful for it all. And as I move into burlesque, I admit I'm scared. I'm scared. I had a breakdown yesterday. I'm grateful that it's all moving at a perfect pace where I don't have to like feel epic pressure to like, you know, act a certain way. Like it's like life is kind of easing me into it to make sure that it's really authentic. And I know that my intention with it is to create a lot of healing, not only for myself, but also for whoever witnesses it. Yeah, to just sort of unlock my being and express this love with freedom and power. And that's to me what a lot of sexual healing is about. It's about undoing those blocks, you know, where we've been stuck in ego or fear or illusions, to actually allow the source to flow through us. Because that really, at essence, is what sexuality is. It's our connection to source. It's the gates of heaven. And it's been so abused. Like I don't even know where to start, and I'm not going to, because I think most of us are aware of just how distorted sexuality has become in this, at least this culture and many cultures. But all I know is that I'm here to change it, and that change is within me. I have the power to create the culture that serves me and that serves my soul. And I'm doing it one breath at a time, one song at a time, one moment at a time, and really just discovering for me, like, what does it mean to experience sexuality as sacred, to experience it in its full depth and heights of love and freedom and source energy flow. To me, that's magnificent, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's not something that, I don't know, maybe some people do just luck into, and maybe I have before, but I realize now with all the healing I've done, like, I'm fully awake, I'm conscious of it all, and to actually open my heart and my body in sexuality is really scary. And I definitely want to make sure that when it does happen, that I feel totally right about it, and that it's just, you know, the full bloom of all the healing I've done and the sacredness that it deserves. You know, I feel too that many of us who are healing, we're not just healing ourselves, we're healing our ancestral lines, we're healing future generations, and we're also healing the earth. Especially as women, we are extra connected to the earth, and the way that we care for our bodies and care for how they're treated is how we teach others to care for the earth. And likewise, you know, with male bodies, which are just as sacred, just as holy, and just as connected to the earth. It's like we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones who are to show the world what love is and how to walk in harmony and integrity and all the love, freedom, and power that we truly are. So on that note, it's been almost 25 minutes, so I'm going to end this video, but I just wanted to, thank you for receiving this. I hope it helps you, and if you feel inspired to, I don't know, if you're interested in a session with me, or if you just want to listen to music or anything, feel free to check out my website, and it's corafloramusic.com. And I hope that this supports you in the full expression of the love, freedom, and power that you are.